I recently got my hands on this GameCube-inspired Nintendo Switch controller, but is it any good? Let's find out in this review of the NYXI Wizard. So let's start with a quick unboxing. So inside you've got the controller wrapped up there. Let's pull that out. Wow, look at that. Put that to the side. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let's finish up what's inside the box. So it looks like you've got a product manual instruction guide as well, showing you the different functionalities. So you can read through that after. It looks like there's a pack accessories here. What else is included? So it looks like you get the USB type A to USB type C, and that's for charging. And then it looks like you also get the circular joystick rings, which you can replace on the controller itself. I think that will be everything in the box. So I gotta say, overall, my first impressions of the NYXI Wizard are that it looks really cool, and I love the old school GameCube-inspired design. It also feels really good in terms of the size and the plastic. So let's jump right into discussing the design and build quality of the controller. Overall, it feels very well built. You don't have any rattle or anything like that. Nothing feels loose. The centerpiece is very well connected there. So the plastic feels sturdy, and it's a bit larger than the original GameCube controller as far as I can remember, which might take some time getting used to depending on your hand size. Personally, I find it very comfortable to hold. And here's kind of a side-by-side comparison with the Pro controller on the Switch. You can see they're very similar in size and dimensions. Not as heavy as this controller, but it definitely has a very similar feel in the design and structure of the grips. Obviously, these ones are not textured or anything, and this one has slight texturing here on the bottom, but overall I'd say the grips feel very similar. This has a bit more curvature and this is a bit more straight, but other than that, these are very close. Personally, I find this controller very comfortable to hold, so I think one of the standout features is the ability to swap out the joysticks themselves and the rings to accommodate different games. You do get the circular set here, which you can swap out for the octagonal ones, which is a great touch in terms of the customization of the controller. Now let's talk about the Hall effect joysticks. So these are known for their precision and durability, which helps combat against stick drift, which I find to be a definite plus. The D-pad, however, was a slight disappointment in my opinion. Despite how amazing all of the other buttons feel, the D-pad does feel a bit mushy at times. It does have a slight clicking sound when pressed, but a more pronounced tactile feedback would have been preferred. The shoulder buttons and the triggers, on the other hand, are fantastic. They do have a very short travel, which makes them incredibly responsive and feature a very satisfying click. So let's talk about the back buttons, which I find to be a welcome addition, although their placement could have been slightly higher for easier reach. And I think a textured grip on the side would have enhanced the overall feel, but I can see why they omitted it because they wanted to keep it as close to the original GameCube controller as possible. What about the ABXY buttons? Well, I find these to be perfectly positioned and sized, just like the original GameCube. I also really appreciate the subtle illumination for night gaming sessions, and just know that this feature can be turned on and off manually. So the standout buttons on the face of the controller are the profile buttons, which are used to help customize the mapping of the back buttons, and the turbo buttons on the bottom. Now let's talk about features and performance, which this controller is jam-packed with. So you can use the Wizard in a few different ways, but my favorite is as a standalone controller with the supplied centerpiece. In terms of compatibility, it works with the Nintendo Switch, the Switch OLED, and the Switch Lite, making it quite versatile. The range is about 10 meters or a little less than 33 feet for those that are in the States. Battery life is decent with a rechargeable 500 milliamp internal battery. That means you can expect around 8.5 hours of use on a single charge, and a full charge takes approximately 2.5 to 3.5 hours. Keep in mind that you can charge them while connected to the Switch or individually with the included USB-C cable. You've also got adjustable turbo settings, anywhere from 5, 12, and 20 presses per second. Gyro controls are also available for those who like them, and the ability to customize button mapping. Button mapping can record up to 21 different button presses. The rumble is also surprisingly good, and you can customize the intensity from 0 30, 70, or 100%. The NYXI Wizard is also compatible with the Switch when docked, which is always convenient. You can also wake your Switch directly from the controller in attached or wireless mode. So one thing that is missing, however, is near-field communication or NFC. So Amiibo support is not available. So is the NYXI Wizard worth the $69.99 price tag? It delivers on the nostalgia factor with the GameCube-inspired design. The build quality is excellent, particularly with the joysticks and shoulder buttons, which are top-notch. While the D-pad was a slight disappointment, the overall package is still very impressive. So it may take some time getting used to, especially if you're coming from something like the Switch Pro controller or any conventional Switch Joy-Cons. If you're a GameCube fan or simply looking for a high-quality, feature-rich controller, I recommend giving it a serious look. Now for the final score. In terms of ergonomics, I give it a 5 out of 5. Price and value, I give it a 4 out of 5. Quality, I give it a 5 out of 5. Practicality gets a 4 out of 5. And the aesthetics get a 5 out of 5. So that's it for today's review of the NYXI Wizard. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Let me know in the comments down below what you think I should review next. And until next time, peace.